Hey guys, welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Wednesday. I'm actually not outside today. It's a little bit dark. I didn't have my lights set up, so apologize for that. I'm actually in the home that I am staying in Canada. So hopefully you can see me. I don't look too dark here. Let me share this to my pages. So, let me move a little closer here. So how are you guys doing? Happy Wednesday. I am still in the Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada region, and I'll be speaking tonight. Let me share this, and share this, and share this. There we go. So welcome everybody. Hello, hello from Canada. Guess what? They do say A up here in Canada. I have heard it several times from several different people. So again, a lot of people tease and say that that's what they say. Well, guess what? They do say that. So hello Sevilla. Hello Tina Marie from College Station, Texas, where it's a lot warmer than it is here because it's freezing outside. That's why I'm inside, because there's winds of like 100 kilometers per hour out there. I will translate and convert that for you people back in the States. That's about 60 miles an hour. So it's very, very fast moving wind, and if I was out there, you would not be able to hear me. So my hair would be a mess, and birds would probably fly into me, like those seagulls out there at Niagara Falls would be just slapping into my face. So, and I would be frozen a lot faster. So it's very nice to be in warmth right now. So God is doing great things, amazing things in Canada, as people are becoming aware of what we've learned in the States and throughout the world now about how these wounds from our fathers and mothers can bring in spirits of Jezebel Leviathan. And that's not cool when that happens, because when it does, it ends up hurting us. So anyway, I'm having a great time like the Lord has been having me do. I'm enjoying myself up here, enjoying the people of Canada, getting to know them better, and they're very nice, they're very polite. Now I hear when you go closer to Montreal, there's a little more French people that are there, and sometimes they are not as nice to the Americans. But here, they love me, and I get to go to LA Fitness and work out for free, which is tremendous because I have to pay $5 every time I work out at an LA Fitness in the States, except for in Indiana, where I can do that for free. But I'm hardly ever in Indiana, so it's very nice to go. And this LA Fitness is like brand new, at least it looks like. All the material, all the machines and stuff are brand new, except when I sweat on them. But other than that, I try to wash my sweat off. So anyways, let's see. It's about 3 hours from London. Yes, I know where London, Ontario is. That's west of here. So anyways, so I'm enjoying myself. We're seeing miracles. We're seeing lots of people who are responding to the stuff that they have gotten set freed from. I've done some personal sessions with people. I haven't done many of those, consistently on because I'm so busy, but I've gotten to do some of them this week while I'm here. And I always like to get a word from the Lord to give to people because I never could do that before 10 years ago. And so I just get quiet, pray in tongues, and then the Lord speaks, whenever I need it to happen. So it's kind of cool, on demand, listening, getting a word, and everybody's saying the word's resonating in their spirits. It's something that they've either heard before, the Lord's confirming, or some new stuff that's new insight. So anyway, thank you guys for joining. Hello Anna from Lafayette, Indiana. Hello new people. I know there's lots of new people that are joining that have never heard of me before, and the Lord has me basically travel all over the place and get people set free in a normal way instead of vomiting. Nobody vomits, nobody barks like a dog, and nobody slithers like snakes. We just take our authority before we do it, and it's all done in order, and people get delivered. So it's a very cool way of doing it. That way I can deliver people in like corporate offices, like I used to work in a corporate office environment. So anyway, normal deliverance is what the Lord wants me to do and focus on. So tonight I'm going to St. Catherine's. Not literally St. Catherine. I'm not even sure who she was. I didn't do any research on this. Although they are known as the Garden City, I think. I put a picture of that on Facebook. So again, hopefully I don't look too dark. I look kind of dark on here. Some people think I'm from Iran, but no, I'm not. I got the darkness from being in Texas and Florida for the winter. So anyway, I'll probably become Siberian white here in another week because I can't go outside very much. It's kind of cold and chilly here. So anyways, back to the topic of the day. So today the Lord told me he wants to talk about how emotional healing is a process and don't rush it. You know, too many people have been hurt their whole lives by wounds from their fathers, their mothers, from being molested, all kinds of stuff that the enemy does to them. And when that happens, the demonic spirits then have a right to come into them and torment them. That's as simple as it is. You know, again, I never even heard this before back in 2008. It wasn't until 2009, you know, after I'd gone through 10 years of trauma from dealing with my son who had gotten basically molested, I guess you can say it. And it messed him up, messed up our family for 10 years, and it was hell. And I put him in the way that the normal, I guess, Christian / psychological community would deal with that. And they would, you know, put him in a Christian counseling environment by a guy that was really well respected. They put him on medication, said he had ADHD, said he had ODD, which is like oppositional defiance disorder, all these DDs, which I always say it's like a ADD is another darn demon, ADHD is another darn hyperactive demon, ODD is an oppositional defiance demon, and but I've learned that. You know, I went through it for 10 years. I saw my son be awful, and then I saw when I learned to take authority, I prayed and commanded the spirits to go like Jesus said we should, and it worked. He was completely back in his right mind. I could talk to him for the first time, and he wasn't being confrontational. So in that case, you know, his emotional healing really happened pretty fast. After that happened, the Lord then said to love him unconditionally. Don't push him, make him, you know, go to church and so forth, because he was just kind of coming out of the church at the time. We did make him to that point, but it didn't do any good because he couldn't hear anything that was being spoken. So anyway, I ended up loving him, and I continue to love him, and he has been healed, you know, over time. And not to rush it, the Lord said. Don't you dare put pressure on him, because in fact I was talking to a lady yesterday in a session, and she's like, all my friends are telling me that I'm enabling my son. You know, my son is addicted to heroin, and he's on the streets now. And you know, occasionally I'll have him come in and I'll try to love on him and help buy him some food and provide shelter, and they're like, oh, you're being too nice to him, you need to be tougher. Tough love, tough love. And I was like, no, that's wrong. You go, if you do that, you'll have no relationship with him at all. You know, he'll block you from whatever communication that you might have. So in some cases, we need to, you know, all cases, we need to love like Christ. You know, and she told me, in fact, again, I'm not naming her name, so this can apply to anybody, keeping the confidence, but I was not aware of this, but apparently, at least here in the Niagara Falls area, that the social services people were saying that if she did not kick her son out by the age of 15 from her home, that they would take her other 2 children, because he was going to be, or he was at danger of hurting the other younger children. So unfortunately, she ended up having to take the son and put him in a place that was not appropriate for him at all. You know, a lot of older men that went there and stuff, and he was only 15. He was a kid. He needed deliverance. That's what he needed, you know. And once you get delivered, then you are right, but you know, back in your right mind again. And unfortunately, that's how they enforce some of the situation up here. At least I don't know if that's everywhere. I don't know the laws of everything, but obviously, you know, that's a sad situation. So when we've been hurt by father and mother wounds, when we've been hurt by being molested or raped, then demonic spirits have a right to come on us, a legal right. They enter at that point, and then they start to speak to us as if we're like they're in our home. Wherever we go, we can hear the voices pretty loudly, and they torment us. They cause us not to be at peace. They cause us to take out anger and frustration on our loved ones, on our children, on our, you know, on our spouse, and it causes strife, causes anger, causes bad stuff. So the quicker we realize that, the faster we can get this problem solved. You know, drugs are not doing the job. Drugs mask it, cause people to oftentimes, the stronger medication can have spirits of pharmakia that can cause us to have even worse things, such as side effects, such as committing suicide because the voices are even stronger. I mean, obviously the medication is supposed to try to help and assist, but it doesn't get to the root issue. The root issue is always demonic with these emotional traumas. Obviously, if you get a car accident, you get a football injury, sporting injury, that's not demonic. That was a trauma. That's, again, you pray, take authority for that to be reversed, or you command the cellular memory of the body to be healed. But when it comes to a heart issue, where you're hearing the voices of the enemy and they're causing you to get in anger, you're ruining your relationships with your moms, your dad, your husband or wife, until you take away the legal right of that enemy, then you're going to have these issues. And the process can be quick. I mean, it can be we get delivered from the demons and then you're at peace, but you still need to walk it out. You still need to do your part to press into the Lord. You need to still continue to get stronger in the Lord. But oftentimes, it is a process that you cannot rush, because you have to go through a series of where you can truly forgive those that have hurt you. We live in a fallen world, and we're all fallen. We're not going to be like, walking around like Jesus. Jesus didn't get hurt by his mother and father. He knew who he was in Christ because he was Christ. How funny is that? So he understood that, but all of us are going to have moms and dads that are going to let us down, that are going to hurt us, some more severely than others. And oftentimes it takes us a while to truly forgive them from all the stuff that they've done to hurt us. And how do you know if you've truly forgiven them? If they were to walk in the room, whoever's hurt you, if you could go up and, give them a hug, doesn't mean you have to kiss them and love them, be married to them again or whatever, but it does mean that you are not going to start shaking, getting angry, and start, sweating with wanting to sweat bullets to take out all your pain on them. If you've done that, then you still have the anger inside. And so therefore, the enemy still has a right to whisper to you and causing you to hear his voice, causing you to take out your anger on your spouse and so forth. So there's a process that comes into play where we do have to truly choose to forgive all those that have hurt us. We have to forgive ourselves for making wrong decisions, bad decisions. When you can see yourself, the way Christ sees you, then you can more easily forgive others and forgive yourself. I know in my own personal case, before I ended up getting married, well, actually, I guess on my wedding night, my second wife, the Lord showed me what I was going to have to go through, but said that I would love her like Christ loved the church, and I could see her through his eyes, how she was hurt. Father wounds, mother wounds, ex-husband wounds, and how he wanted me to take all that stuff on me and to go through it and not say a word to anyone. And it wasn't fun, but when I saw her through his eyes, when he showed me and revealed to me that she had been hurt deeply, and that the parents that she had been hurt by their, either lack of father or a father that was very controlling and abusive, then I could give her more grace. I could choose to forgive, and I could say that's not truly who she is, but that's the demons in her that she's hearing. When you can separate out the demons from the person, then you can be at more peace. And the only way that you're going to get healed is if you truly choose to forgive those that have hurt you. And it can be a process. It could be, years. A lot of times people don't ever get over the pain that they had for a child. And they are angry and they hear the voice of the enemy so loudly on them. And oftentimes we have traumas that we're not even aware of. It could be when you're growing up, someone touches you. Someone in the hospital when you were a young child could have touched you. Someone when you were 3 years old, 4 years old, you stayed the night with relatives. They could have touched you inappropriately, and that could bring in the demonic spirits that cause you to behave the way you do. You could have been, one example, there was a man that I dealt with who was 8, and he was molested by his 15-year-old sister. And so he got married to his beautiful wife, and he treated her horribly. And she stuck with him, but she was ready to divorce him. And then she ended up connecting with me at a TV station in Houston, and I took him through the prayers, and he realized that he did have the spirit of Jezebel. He wanted to think that she did, up to the point where he finally got delivered, and he then admitted that that's what happened to him. He didn't tell really anybody about it, but I'm like, well, that's what happened. I go, the enemy was telling you all these bad things about your spouse, right? And he said, yeah. He goes, I didn't trust her. I thought she was going to cheat on me. I thought she was, just going to be like my sister was. I couldn't trust my sister. So he was hearing the voice of the enemy the whole time. That oftentimes happens, to men. And it could be that a mother had wounded you. Maybe the mother, had to do something. Maybe had to put you in a place you didn't want to go to, and you felt rejected, you felt controlled. So therefore you took out all your pain and anger on your wife. And the same thing with women. If they were hurt by their fathers, they end up hearing the voice of the enemy, taking all the pain on their husband. The enemy tells you bad things and lies. Says that your husband doesn't love you, your husband hates you. In some cases, that is going to be true. Those that have the Jezebel spirit that are married to men that have that is true. But they're hearing the voice of the enemy telling them how bad that you are. And so oftentimes it is a process that we have to not get frustrated with. We just simply have to learn that we're peeling back the layers, like an onion, from all the lies and all the pain from the enemy. And little by little, you end up getting healed over time. So don't rush the process, embrace the process. Realize that as long as you keep pressing in, desiring, that you will get stronger and stronger. So there's a ministry named Restoring Relationships that deals with a lot of these relationship wounds that need to be healed and restored. Dominic Herbst is the man that came up with this, like 30 years ago. And the Lord revealed a lot of this to him. He's a psychologist, but he's a Christian psychologist, and he's gone through stuff. And he and I have a good relationship, great working relationship, and I've gone through his course. Another friend of mine has gone through his course, and it's a great way of going through a healing process that can sometimes take lifetimes to go through, but it can shorten the process. Because when you can truly see others that have hurt you and that have wounded you, through the Lord's eyes, and have an understanding that it's not them, it's the enemy, then that healing process of your soul wounds will occur. And people that go through those programs are just phenomenally better. Now, he refers a lot of his patients that need deliverance to restorative freedom. And so I will take them through, or other people will take them through from restorative freedom, the deliverance that needed to be taken place. But the combination between both ministries has been really powerful. And I'm going to actually bring him on the show to interview him April the 16th. We just talked today, and he's excited about it. He said, well, I want to promote you, Nelson. I want to promote you. I'm like, no. This is about me promoting you. I'm bringing you on my show. If you want to bring me on yours, you can. He's got like 60,000 people that like his ministry page. He has the people at John Hagee's church, Cornerstone in San Antonio. They've adopted his program, to use it there. And he goes into the large churches. Because again, the larger churches can receive what he's saying because he doesn't get to the point of where the deliverance and demons take place. That's where I come in. Again, a lot of the larger churches would shy away from talking about demons, unfortunately, because that's the root of the issue of these people that are going through divorces and are struggling in their lives. But the marriage between restoring relationships and restorative freedom is a perfect marriage because he can get into the door and then he can draw me in. That's what exactly is happening. He's referring a lot of his people to restorative freedom because he knows it's demonic. And it's great because he's a psychologist. So it's really nice when the Lord is on, a ministry that is being blessed because it's happening. It's just happening. In fact, I'll share this. There's a woman that's from Australia. Her name's Megan. She just got certified under restorative freedom. And she's now doing deliverances in Australia. Her doctor wants to get delivered now with her kids. How cool is that? And then she just messaged me with another lady today that wants to be certified that lives, 5 hours south of her. So Australia is starting to be impacted dramatically by restorative freedom and by getting delivered. Well, the entire world eventually is going to hear about this because the Lord wants it to be done. It's not going to be stopped by the enemy. Again, we have to be pure, righteous, and humble. We have to be. We have to be on guard. So anyway, back to the healing as a process. Don't shortcut it. I know that you want to get through this as quickly as you can, and you can. There's some that get through. Again, the Restoring Relationships program can be done normally in a couple of weeks, and it's very, very thorough. And Restorative Freedom, of course, you can go through 1 hour session, although sometimes it takes you a second or third time to completely understand what you're doing and comprehending it. The only reason that people wouldn't get delivered from, Jezebel, Leviathan, or Ahab is if they keep hearing the voice of the enemy telling them that they don't have this, that this is ridiculous, don't read the prayers, and they just read it to read it, and they don't truly mean it with their heart. Just like if you ask Jesus to come into your heart, but you don't mean it, you're simply saying those words, then you will not become a Christian. You have to mean it with your heart. So that's why it can take sometimes weeks or months for a person completely to get delivered from hearing Jezebel, Leviathan, Ahab. I see a lot of kids that are going through the deliverances. In fact, they're doing that here in Canada. And then all of a sudden they're saying, I don't hear the chatter anymore. I don't hear the chatter. I'm at peace. And I'm like, great, that's what you're supposed to do. So when we get the kids delivered, get the parents delivered, then you have a great family. You're not striving, you're not arguing. But healing of soul wounds is important. Just because you become a Christian, the demons don't have to go. They stay. They have a legal right until we recognize that we do truly have to forgive all those that have hurt us. And I love what Restoring Relationships does, because they actually have you write a letter, like your life story. Then they have you write confront letters to all those that have hurt you. You don't give them to them, but there's a healing process that goes on. I did it for myself. Did it with my first wife, my second wife, my son. Those were the main pain points that I had. I was fortunate, I didn't have really bad things with my mom or my dad, but there are some things that my mom and dad, they weren't perfect. So, I recognized that. I had to forgive. But it's a great process when you're truly, and how do you know if you're truly set free and delivered? How do you know if you've been healed? Your mind will be at peace. You will not hear the chatter from the enemy. You may hear it at a distance, but you will be such a peaceful person, and you will be at joy. You'll be a joy to be around. It's not fun when you're around a person that's got the voice of the enemy on them, because they will say things that will cause you to be hurt. They will bring you down. They will speak negative, focus on the negative. Oh me, oh my, all my exes I hate, and my children are horrible. I can't stand them, blah, blah, blah. I see a lot of people that they'll blame their children. And this is so true. This is so true. That when a person's been hurt, say by their mom or their dad, and they're carrying around spirits of Jezebel, Leviathan, and Ahab, they will take out their pain, because they're hearing the voice of the enemy, on their children. Their children then get hurt. The children then don't like the parents. And then what happens? There's a blame game that goes on. The parents will blame the child. Look how bad you are. You'll never amount to anything. Blah, 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 blah. Or I wish I had a boy instead of a girl. You're a horrible person. I hate you. Blah, 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 blah. Well, that's the enemy causing the parent to take out all their pain and their wounds on their children. And then it divides, puts a wedge between the children. The Lord talks about in Malachi 4, 5, and 6 that he's sending Elijah before the great and dreadful day to turn the hearts of the fathers of the children and children of the fathers. That's what we're seeing with Restorative Freedom. That's what Restoring Relationships is seeing, is we're turning the hearts of the fathers where they're repenting and saying they're sorry, choosing to say they're sorry to their children. And then the children, if they see the parents changed over time, will then come back and they will love their mom and dad. That's what we want to see. Again, it can be, and oftentimes is, a process. They have to see it over time. Same thing, like if I'm going to get remarried, I have to see a person over time behave in a godly way, not in a controlling way, not in a manipulative way, not in an out of fear way. I need to see that over time. Just like anyone else that's looking to get married, you need to see the person over time. If you get married in a couple of months, they can hide it. That spirit of Jezebel, Leviathan's great at covering things up. But then all of a sudden, when you get married to them, they're mean, they're controlling, and you're like, oh my gosh, what did I do? Here we go again, And again, oftentimes people that have Jezebel, Leviathan will not look in the mirror. They will blame you. Everything's your fault instead of looking at themselves. That's why it's so hard to get set free from that. You have to admit it. So, anyway, and you also get sick and diseased. Why would you want to have sickness and disease on your body? Well, you don't, obviously. But if you've got any spirits that are having a legal right to you, then you will end up being angry. You will end up being, manipulative, controlling, lying, deceiving, and all that stuff. Jezebel, Leviathan, it brings in those pains in our bodies. I'm not saying that everybody has that, but I'm saying a lot of people, when they get set free, they get healed from that. Like there's a woman, in fact, I did an email newsletter. I like doing those. I don't know. I don't like doing them, but I like it when they actually go out there because I can see some of the results from them. And I can see I just sent one out last night. Again, it takes me a couple of hours to put in new email addresses from people that I go to these different conferences around the United States and Canada with. But the Lord had me focused on talking about Restorative Freedom is now international. How now we've crossed the waters of Niagara Falls into Canada, and how the Lord's going to have me go to other places. In fact, I was asked that by Dominic today. He's like, how soon are you going to go to, wherever, other international places? And I'm like, well, I don't sense in the next few months, but, possibly by the end of the year, I don't know. Again, Australia would be a good place, I think, because it's receiving me now, more and more people in Australia. And it's funny, talk about Australia, because when I used to sell software, when I worked for Banker Systems, my first year, I qualified for their annual trip. And their trip was 1 week to Australia, 1 week to Hawaii. Well, we had our son, unfortunately, that was getting ready to be born, our oldest son, Jordan, so I couldn't go. And in fact, I didn't get compensated anything for it. So I missed out on 1 week in Australia and a week in Kauai, Hawaii. So didn't go. And I've always wanted to go to Australia. And so I believe the Lord's going to take me to every single, whatever continent and country eventually, because this is such a global issue that needs to be addressed. So anyways, just remember, don't rush the process, because again, it can take a while. If you can find the right ministries that can deal with the demonic and deal with the soul wounds, then you've got it made. But there's so many that are dealing with, they can choose to forgive and things like that, which is all helpful. But if you're not talking about the root issue, being demonic, you're going to miss it. I have a lot of people that go through counseling sessions, sozos, and so forth, and they're not getting to the root of the issue being demonic Jezebel, Leviathan spirits. When they get delivered from that, then we're seeing the miracles happen. We're seeing the ministries. So anyway, back to the email. I sent an email out that talked about international stuff now with Canada. And then we have 26 people, I think, now that are certified under Restorative Freedom that are on my website. And we have Australia now, we have Canada, we have Philippines, and the United States. And so that's growing. We're getting ready to have someone from South Africa get certified. So I focused on that in the newsletter, also about the couple from Houston that got delivered and set free. Well, this woman and her husband, when they got delivered, Patty and Paul, I think their last name is Velas, tremendous testimony. So again, you can watch that on YouTube. But she got healed from high blood pressure. Why? Because I didn't argue anymore. Hey, Wade! Wade is here. Yay! Wade from Australia. In fact, Wade's going to be certified next, I believe, soon. So hopefully in the next week, finishing up the books. I think he's gone through all the videos. So Wade and Megan are friends down there, which is great. And then there's another lady that's looking to get certified in Australia. So it's awesome. It's awesome to watch all this explode. So it's kind of funny, again, I grew up in a Christian home. I went to Christian churches and nobody ever told me about this. I'm thinking, why aren't people wanting to talk about this? Because man, it changes lives, changes marriages, saves marriages. It explains why people are narcissistic, they call them, why the psychological community calls them narcissistic. Well, they are narcissists, but they're a high-level Jezebel is what they are. Very prideful, very controlling, manipulative. And they said that there's no hope for them. Just divorce them, get away from them. Well, there is hope if the person can simply just watch one of the deliverance videos, that the Lord has had me do, or watch one of the testimonies. Now, yeah, the person does have to get rid of the pride. They have to humble themselves. For a lot of people, are like, oh, they'll never do that. Well, give the Holy Spirit a chance. Give them a chance, And if you can, give them the book, Restorative Freedom. Or maybe give it to them where they don't know that you gave it to them. Because that's a book that's designed to give it to people that need to get delivered. And then they can get healed and get restored. But again, you're going to probably see a lot more collaboration between Restoring Relationships and Restorative Freedom. They're already referring people to me to get delivered. And then I'm referring people to them that need their soul wounds to be healed. And there's nothing like it, and oftentimes you have to cry. I cried when I went through my process, and it's a healthy process. It's grieving what you shouldn't have had to have endured. It's grieving a lot of pain. I know a lot of people, it's very sad when you love a person deeply and they are mean to you. They're just completely, a Jezebel, Leviathan narcissist. It's almost really impossible to love them because there's never enough, It's impossible to be at peace with them. And I really, it breaks my heart because I know that there's so many millions and billions of people out there who are married to these people that have had father and mother wounds that have hurt them deeply. In fact, today I was talking to a woman that was from China, and she told me that it's very common, apparently, to have a husband in China that is married to a woman, then he has another woman that's like his second wife. And I'm like, what? Like a concubine? And she's like, yeah, kind of like that. Because she said that her mother was that. She was the second wife to this guy. And that the guy was very controlling and dominating, and ended up dying at an early age when she was only like 4. So she grew up with wounds, you know. So I'm thinking, oh my gosh. I did not know that. I did not know, you know, what I did not know. So I'm learning a lot being here in Canada. It's awesome. Their money is different. Let me, in fact, maybe I can show you. I think I might have some money here. Yes, I do. So this is their money. I know the people from Canada are like, Nelson, you know, this is really good money, because it is, but it's like plastic. Now this is what, I don't know if you can probably see it backwards, but it's a $20 bill. And you can see through it. How funny is that? You can see through the money. Well, they make it so it's like almost impossible to replicate. They just came out with this. So all their money is plastic. I said, it's like play money. You know, I felt like, really? This is like Monopoly money. Here, I'm just going to throw it away. And people are like, no, don't throw it away. I'm like, so anyway, it's quite interesting. You know, and they're called Canadian dollars. So I've not been to like where they have yen yet, or Deutschmarks or whatever, euros. I've not been over there yet to see their money. But anyways, I love to travel. Did I ever mention that? I do love to travel. God's given me the desires of my heart. I get to travel everywhere. Australian money is like that. You invented the technology? Wow, I had no idea. You guys are brilliant down in Australia. Do you guys say "G'day, mate"? Do you say that a lot? You know, I like the "G'day, mate" and "shrimp on the Barbie." Do you have that? Are those terms that you say like every other day? You know, what are the common things you guys say? I know in Texas they say "y'all" and they say "fixin'." I'm fixin' to fix breakfast. I'm fixin' to get delivered. That means they're planning on it. So yes, you do say that. Really? Do you guys have the Outback Steakhouse down there? Because we have that here in the United States at least. I'm not sure if they have it in Canada, but I go there like, I don't know, once a year to, they have those bloomin' onions. Do you guys have bloomin' onions there that make your stomach get like all sick because they're fried? So yes, yes, and yes. Good day. There's Dagmar from Germany. So how's Germany treating you? How's the former farmstead of, I won't say, so, but anyways, healing is a process. Don't rush it. You know, take your time and be at peace, and recognize that if you're hearing the voice of the enemy, it's going to cause you to not be at peace. So anyways, tonight I am speaking at St. Catherine's. It's called the Garden Center. City, or Garden City, I think. Anyway, St. Catherine's, which is just north of Niagara Falls, and in Ontario. So it's like on the other side of Toronto. Toronto's on the other side of Ontario, Lake Ontario. Anyway, 50 Niagara Drive at the Test U Center. So that is where we're meeting at tonight. It's 7 p.m. And anyway, it's come together in the last couple days. There's pastors coming from different churches that are having problems with Jezebel, which is awesome. It's just all coming together. People are talking about this, saying, "Oh my gosh, you know, we got to hear this message because this is explaining everything that's wrong with this world." And I'm like, yes, it is. So much of it, absolutely. So. And marriages, and getting the marriages set free. So again, tonight, 7 p.m. Eastern time, I guess, is what this is called in Canada, but it's Eastern time in the United States, I know that. Right now, it's like 1:04 p.m. if you're watching this live in the Eastern time zone. And then, let's see. Then this weekend, I'm going to Aylmer, Aylmer, Friday at 7. It's still in Canada. It's in Ontario. It's like 2 hours west of where I'm at. Hello, David from San Antonio. And I will be there doing a deliverance session, 7 p.m. a corporate session Friday night, and then Saturday 1 to 5 p.m. at the, and this is, both of these are at the Malahide Community Center. I love going to community centers. I love to go into places where they meet for more than just church, you know. So that's always cool to utilize a community center for God and for deliverance and for His purposes. So 3 o'clock in the morning in Australia? Wade, how can you be up at 3 o'clock in the morning? Holy cow. You get the award for staying up the latest. You know, that's the darkest hour from the enemy. It's 3 a.m. So kudos to you. So you're fixin' to. Elia, yes, you're from like Texas, so you got to say fixin' to. Yeah, since I live in Texas like half the time, that's become my vernacular, is saying I'm fixin' to do this and I'm fixin' to do that. And I don't have any cowboy boots yet, nor cowboy hats, so I don't know how I'd feel. They do have cowboy churches down there, though, where you can just pull up with your horse and go to church. So how funny is that? All right, back to the schedule here. So again, tonight going to St. Catharines at 7 p.m., 50 Niagara Drive. And then this weekend in Aylmer, Ontario, Canada, 7 p.m. Friday, Saturday, 1 to 5, doing a training in equipping and impartation, so we can get more people doing this. April 15th, I'll be in Sandusky, Ohio at Eagles Nest Church. April 20th, I'll be back in Texas. San Angelo, first time. It's out in West Texas. It's out in the middle of nowhere. I've never been there before. I love going on adventures. They apparently have some cool backdrops there with lakes and stuff. Ha! Wade, you're fixing to live in Texas. There you go. Good eye, mate. Yeah, that's a pretty good accent. Yeah, yeah. It's Australia's accents are like so similar to a little bit of the twangy version of the English, I think. So anyway, they're a little more laid back probably in Australia than they are. A little more uptight perhaps in the UK. So anyway. San Angelo, April 20th and 22nd. I'll be in Kerrville, Texas, the 21st. Houston, Texas, April 24th and 25th, doing my TV recording. April 26th, College Station, one of my favorite towns because they have a college there. And I get to go enjoy myself, have fun in College Station. I'd love to go to a football game. I'd love to go to a Texas A&M football game. So hopefully, maybe, at one point I can become the 12th man and stand the entire time and sweat like a 500-pound man in Australia in the summertime. Or in Texas for that matter, because it's like really humid there when it's like July, August, September, October, November. So anyways, and then April 27th, 28th, I'll probably be back in Houston doing some more TV shows. May the 4th and 5th, I'll be in San Antonio. So in Bernie with the Littles, taking them for adventure walks all around the neighborhood, into Mexico and out. Just saying. And let's see, May the 18th, 19th, I'll be back in Houston. I'm not sure where I'll be between May 5th and May 18th. I will definitely be in Texas somewhere, so anyway, maybe in San Antonio. June 8th and 10th through the 10th, I'll be in Noblesville, Indiana, which is in Indianapolis. So Sevilla, you'll have to be there to say hi to Edie Bear and her husband, Daryl, and the gang. Have a guy coming, John Tussey from Hawaii, so that will be exciting to do ministry with them. June the 15th and 16th in Champaign, Illinois, again called the Real You Conference, where you're supposed to come without makeup, without bling, and get delivered and all the good things. So there. Your brother lives in Bryan by College Station. He's a cop in Hearn. Well, I was in Hearn, Bryan, and College Station like 2 weeks ago. How funny is that? Okay. June 22nd through 24th, I'll be back in College Station, Texas, at the Glory Hub, which is the church Pastor DeWitt Stein. He's from South Africa. So exciting stuff. God is exploding this all over the place. The truth is getting out there. People are getting delivered. No longer having to go to counseling sessions. They can get delivered from the demons, no longer hear them, and then be at peace, and then come into their fullness of who they are, get trained, and then start delivering other people and passing it on and on and on and on before Christ comes back for his pure and spotless bride. So, anywho, I'm enjoying life. I'm having fun. Finally, again, sometimes it takes us an entire lifetime to go through stuff before we get healed and restored, and then coming into the fullness of who our calling is. And sometimes our ministries are just as simple as talking to our next door neighbors and those in the neighborhood. Sometimes they're a full-blown worldwide ministry. Sometimes they're just a church in a small community, sometimes a larger church. But again, the goal is, no matter how big your church is to talk about getting delivered and freed. You know, it's so sad for me when I see large churches that will not talk about what needs to be talked about, that will completely change the people in their church. There's so many people that are dying out there with their marriages that are miserable. They're in misery, they're fighting, they're arguing, they're lying, they're awful. And it's Jezebel, Leviathan, and Ahab every single time. You need to get delivered. So if they won't let that happen, then what I believe is going to happen is the Lord is obviously rising up those in restorative freedom. They are being blessed. You know, people that are joining the ministry, I'm seeing them financially being blessed, which is awesome to see. And the Lord's going to reward you when you're doing what he wants you to do. It doesn't matter what man says. You know, man may try to stop and come against you because they're hearing the demonic voice of the enemy. But if you're doing what God wants you to do, keep on keeping on. Keep on doing what you're doing. And the Lord will be the rewarder for you. And anyway, so you guys are awesome. And let's see, is your program and teachings only for Christians, or can be people from other religions use this deliverance? Yep, everybody from all areas, all non-Christians can benefit from deliverance. I've seen it. I've seen people that are not Christians at all, people that are Jewish that are getting delivered and set free and then becoming Messianic Jewish, believers of Jesus Christ being the Savior. There's a person that was from Germany that got delivered and they became a Christian. So absolutely. Again, if we can explain this as simple as, hey, you know, how are you doing in life? Are you at peace? Or do you have a lot of stress and striving? Is your relationship with your spouse good? Do you have peace and love and joy? Or do you argue a lot? Well, if it's coming down to lots of arguing, lots of strife and stuff, well then, okay, that means you're hearing the voice of the enemy. He's whispering to you. So again, I know sometimes if you're not a Christian, they wouldn't want to believe this, but I have seen people that have read the book Restored to Freedom that have gotten delivered and set free and then became a Christian because they said, oh my gosh, this makes all the sense in the world, because I talk about the wounds and the fathers and the mothers, the voices that they're hearing, the behavior. You can describe the behavior without having to go into any depth about receiving Christ, but at the end of the whole thing, you know, people will get delivered. They'll want peace, and that's the biggest thing, is how many people do you know that have peace? How many Christians do you know that are in the church that have peace? You know, if every pastor would speak about this, you know, once every 3 months, he could keep his church clean and keep people delivered. You know, the problem is that they're not talking about this at all. You know, it's like they're trying to ignore it, put their head in the sand like an ostrich and saying, oh, nope, Christians can't have demons. I'm like, really? Well, if that's the case, then why do we have so many people that are in the church that are striving, that are angry, that are going through divorces, that are sickness and diseased? Huh? How come? Tell me that. Well, I know why, because Christians do have demons. No, they just do. Most all Christians are suffering from torment from them. Doesn't mean they're possessed, but they sure definitely are oppressed by them. Just because you say, Jesus, come into my heart, doesn't mean all the demons have to leave. No, we have to take authority over the soul wounds. You know, the spirit may be, you know, possessed by the Lord, but still, if you're behaving in the Jezebel Leviathan spirit, I've had a lot said that I wouldn't have gone to heaven if I had not gotten delivered, because my behavior was awful, was horrible. So anyway, thank you for sharing, Wade, at 3 a.m. in Western Australia. You're the man. You get the award for staying up the longest at this point. That's awesome. In fact, last night I got a phone call. I keep my phone next to me, I don't know, sometimes a foot away from my head or 2 feet away. And I put it on mute, and I was in a dream, went to bed about 11:30. Then around 12:30 in the morning, I get a phone call from Gulfport, Mississippi. And I wake up because I could hear it, you know, slight buzzing, and I'm a pretty light sleeper. So I'm come out of my dream, and I'm like, really? Who's calling at 12:30 in the morning? And they didn't leave a message. So I'm like, really? I go, you woke me up and you still don't leave a message. So now I don't even know what it is. So anyway, I normally dream about 3 times a night too, just to let you know. Not all dreams are anything that's significant, but a lot of them are. I'd say probably a third of them are. And a lot of times it's focusing on ministry, like in different countries in the future and different people I'm doing ministry with and stuff. So it's been fun. Thoroughly enjoyed the transition out of corporate America, selling software to banks, putting together contracts, doing all the minutia stuff that wasn't my passion anymore. Once I learned this stuff back in 2009, 2010, I was like, man, I want to do this full time. God, let me be able to somehow have get paid to be able to do this. How do I do this? And the Lord basically said, don't do it my way, and I will bless you. But if you do it your way, not going to happen. So I had to do it His way. I had to lose everything that I had. I had to go through giving up everything. All my earthly possessions were taken away, basically. So I had to be humbled. And now that I've been humbled, He is now starting to bring back, and it's neat to watch it grow. It's neat to watch people's lives get changed. That's what it's all about. Getting people's lives changed and set free. Don't forget 4492 Ontario Mills Parkway for Outback Steakhouse. Huh? I have a friend like 4 hours from New York. All right. Well, anyone have any questions for me as I'm in my bedroom down in the basement of this house? Nice, beautiful home. The Lord has allowed me to stay in for a week here in Niagara Falls. I'm going to try to do a Facebook Live on Friday from the Falls, my last one. If it doesn't rain. If it rains, I'm not going to do that. So, but it was beautiful a couple days ago when I was there. So, let me know. Anyone? Ontario, California. I have never been there, but I do know of that place. I've heard of it before. All right, well, let me see. What else can I share? I love Niagara Falls. Yay. So Anna, I did not know you've been here before. You know what? I had never been to Niagara Falls until last August. I was doing ministry in the Buffalo, New York area, and they took me across to see it from the Canadian side. So that was really cool. I got to see a rainbow at that point in time. So this is the first time I've come in a cooler month area. So I enjoy traveling. I enjoy going places I've never been to before. All right, Pastor Annette. Let me see here. Says, I found your videos after I went through divorce. My ex watched 4 times, but says nothing changed. Yeah, well, sometimes when people watch it, if they don't truly, buy into it, then they may not have anything that will affect them. It may take it a while for them to truly get into their spirit. Other times, I've seen people that have gotten delivered. You'll know it by the barometer if they're at peace, if they're not striving and stuff anymore, if they've gotten delivered. Because there's sometimes people don't feel anything, and they get delivered. Just like I pray for people for healings, and oftentimes they feel nothing. But then they realize later, wait a minute, I got healed, but I didn't feel anything. Yeah, well, I don't do the healing, Jesus does. So I can't control that, but I can control my authority in taking it. Did I bring this weather? Well, let's see. If I brought any weather, it would be like 80 degrees Fahrenheit from Texas, because that's where I left. So I don't think I brought any coldness with me. This is, and again, I'm up in Canada. The temperatures are, I think, 37 today or something Fahrenheit. Alrighty. So again, I would say to anyone that's watching, I'll say this. So I went through some stuff that wasn't fun, and the Lord told me I couldn't tell anybody when I went through it. So for 6 years, I went through really, really awful stuff, being controlled, manipulated, abused, and so forth. So I didn't tell anybody. Not one person did I ever tell anybody anything on. And the Lord was growing me through that process, saying, Nelson, you can handle a lot. A lot of people can handle a lot more than what they think, even though they don't want to go through it. But sometimes, the process is you have to go through it. You have to break through it. You cannot just have a quick shortcut to get over whatever your situation is. And oftentimes your situation does involve children that have been hurt by you, and you were hurt by your mom and dad, or you were molested. So we have to take ownership for ourselves and say, okay, I'm going to pull myself up by my own bootstraps, take responsibility for myself, take ownership for myself, and let the Lord help me get set freed from the pain and stuff in the past. And again, choosing to forgive is a big part of that. You have to. Now, if we've hurt our children in any way, they're not going to be at peace. They're going to be behaving in ways that they may hate us. And so we have to sometimes love them from afar, pray for them, give them to the Lord, help them when they need to be helped. Don't turn your back on your children. There's too many people who are like, oh, we need to be tough, tough love, tough love, tough love. And I'm like, really? Tough love? Okay, how does that work for you? Well, gee, I have no relationship with my mom. I have no relationship with my son. I have no relationship with my daughter. I'm like, oh, okay, well, then it's probably not working then, is it? Because, I know that that's something that I was trying to deal with my son when he was hurt by the enemy. Well, he was pretty bad, very bad. He punched me a couple times, disrespected me, spit on me. Most people would have gotten really angry at their son and tried to beat the crap out of him, punched him or whatever. And I didn't do that. I just, I took it and took it and took it. And then I finally figured out that it was a demonic spirit that was dealing with it. So, and there's some times that I ended up losing my patience, and I raised my voice and so forth. But I never struck my children, even though the spirit in them was trying to provoke me to do that. So you end up having to be listening to the Lord and be directed by Him. And oftentimes we may have to go through stuff we don't want to go through, And we do have to learn our own authority. We have to walk it out. I had to learn mine. Nobody just said, here, Nelson, you can be healed from everything. I had to go through some pain and a process of that, and getting stronger, learning about my authority, pressing in, reading books, watching material, watching Kenneth Hagin, getting it into my spirit and knowing without a shadow of a doubt, when I command to be healed of whatever it is, that I will be healed, whether it's instant or whether it's progressive. And I don't speak anything out otherwise, to the contrary. I cannot speak into the circumstances and saying, oh my gosh, my back, it's killing me. Oh my gosh, I've got the size of a golf ball in the back of my back, which I did have for 5 weeks. I had to walk it out. I had to declare it. I had to thank the Lord in advance before seeing it manifest. So we have to take our own responsibility. And same thing goes with our children. If we've hurt our children, we need to apologize to them. I know too many people that I've met that they look at their kids, oh, my kid's a mess up, and they blame the kids instead of looking at themselves saying, you know what, maybe they're a mess up because I was a mess up. And again, it's because they were hurt by the enemy, but we were hurt by the enemy, and our parents hurt us. So we need to break that generational curse off. We need to take authority, but we also need to speak life. We need to trust that we are going to do what the Lord wants us to be. He wants us to be like Jesus Christ and walk in that. And I know sometimes, I prayed for myself. I wasn't healed instantly, but I was healed eventually. And sometimes it took a week, sometimes it took 5 weeks, sometimes it was instant. But for whatever it was, I believed without a shadow of a doubt. And I've not taken vitamins since 2009, and medicine and all that stuff. So God's good. God does want us to be healed and healthy, But again, we do need to make sure we chose to forgive all those that have hurt us. Because if not, the enemy does have a right to stay on us to hurt us. So anyway, don't give up. That's what I'm trying to say. Is don't give up. Don't let the enemy win. And sometimes I know people have gone through the prayers 7 times, and they got complete deliverance at that point. So, but it comes down to, do you truly mean what you're saying? Are you humble? Because if you're prideful and you're reading the prayers just to read them, this doesn't work, this is a bunch of crap, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's not going to work. Your attitude's not right. You have to be humble and contrite. So anyway, and I've seen a lot of children that have gotten delivered through the children's deliverance. Here up in Canada, they've been getting delivered. A lot of people say, well, how's that going to work if the parent's been hurting them? Well, I don't know how it works, because they're in that environment, they could still get hurt again. But what I'm seeing is there are children that are getting delivered, and they're in the environment with a mom or a dad that have hurt them. And eventually what I believe the Lord's going to do is use the child to get the parent set free and delivered. So anyway, I'm learning just like everybody else is. I don't know it all. I wish God would just maybe send Jesus back again and teach us more and say, here's how it works, and I can answer all the questions that you didn't get answered the first time around. So wouldn't that be cool? And sometimes, obviously, we have mindsets that have been in place for a long time. So we have to walk out new mindsets. We have to retrain our thoughts so they don't go there in the wrong direction anymore. That's truth right there, is that we're used to believing a certain way. So hopefully I'm not too dark. I should have had my lights turned on today, so I'll remember that for tomorrow. All right. Well, I'm going to get out of here because I'm going to go visit some person's house to do some ministry, and then I'm going tonight to St. Catherine's. Yay! Never done ministry in St. Catherine's before. And then I'm here for one more day, Thursday, then I leave Friday for Aylmer. So there you go. All right, Wade. Uh-oh. Sherelle just called me. Sherelle, I'm still on. That might have distorted my face now, because the last time somebody called during a Facebook Live, and it distorted the whole thing and I had to start all over again. So anyway. All right, let you guys go. See you. Love you. Bye.